All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Good afternoon, my fellow Barbadians. Good afternoon to those watching on the internet at home and abroad. I would just like to welcome you to this press conference of the Democratic Labour Party to address the issue of the changing of the name of Independence Day. I just want to be clear that the Democratic Labour Party wishes to, in the strongest of terms, make it distance itself from any name change that has been envisaged by the Prime Minister. Independence Day should remain as Independence Day, and we are being very, 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 very clear that this will not stand. It will not stand for this party, and it will not stand for the people of Barbados. The reality is that Barbadians are accustomed, we are used to, and we want to celebrate and retain our traditions and our strong history and what independence means to us. As a young person growing up, we understand the importance of independence. We can all remember the stories from independence from our parents and our grandparents, and the legacy of that should not be erased by anyone, especially the Prime Minister. And I would like to say that like all Barbadians, I am angry. I am actually angry about this. I'm truly upset, and importantly, and even more importantly, I am disappointed. I am disappointed in the Prime Minister because you would expect her to know better, but there seems to be no end to her exercise to change or rewrite history to create a new Barbados in totally her image, discounting what the founding fathers and mothers of this nation would have done. We also want to make it clear that the Prime Minister, if we are totally honest about this, has lied to the Barbadian people. Their trust has been broken. And you know, if the Prime Minister cannot be trusted on this matter, the question remains, what else can she be trusted on? The reality, last year, the Prime Minister told the Barbadian people in no uncertain terms that the name Independence Day would not be changed. It is on record. I wish the media will stop reporting this as an alleged statement. It is very clear. There's a video, there's a written statement. There's nothing alleged about it. She said that the name would not be changed. Now, a few days later, yesterday in particular, we were told that the name would be changed. Therefore, this dishonesty, it's an untruth, it's a lie. And then coupled with that, you had a situation where instead of apologizing or explaining to the people of Barbados what was behind the name change, you had a situation where the Prime Minister effectively tried to gaslight the people of Barbados as if we were imagining that we were told that there would be no name change. As I said, I am angry. And I want that to be expressed in the strongest of terms, and I think I express and embody the anger of all Barbadians on this. You only have to go to social media to understand where people are, and I also express their disappointment because this is not the kind of behavior that should be expressed by a leader of Barbados. The reality is the Prime Minister of Barbados is not the Prime Minister of the Barbados Labour Party. The Prime Minister of Barbados is the Prime Minister of Barbados. Independence is something that does not belong to any party, and as much as the Democratic Labour Party would have pioneered independence, we understand that it was a gift to Barbadians on a whole. We do not, and we've never celebrated independence as a Democratic Labour Party festival. It is celebrated as something for all Barbadians, and it is something that we wish to continue, and it is something that we will go to the lengths to prevail. We will not stand for this. We will not allow this to happen. And the Prime Minister has crossed a line, and as such, she's crossing that line. There must be consequences for her behavior, and she has to understand that there are consequences to her action. Perhaps in all of her particular political career, she's never faced consequences, but perhaps this is the first time that she will definitely face them. And she will face them and the fire of this party and the fire of all Barbadians. And at this particular moment, I would invite questions from the press.
President.
So sit here? Yeah. All right, Dr. Yearwood, basically what I'm trying to ascertain, when we last spoke last night, you said that you called for boycott. And also I've seen you started an online petition. Could you give us an idea the response to that online petition, and also is there going to be further protest action from the Democratic Labour Party on this issue?
So since last night, we are upping the ante, so to speak. We started the petition in quick order. In less than, this is less than 24 hours. There have been 3,000 signatures and climbing. That should tell you what the dissatisfaction that people are expressing with this name change. The fact is no one wanted this. This has obviously been a figment of the Prime Minister's imagination and one of her cabinet, because it was not discussed with the people of Barbados at any one point, or was it ever broached as something that we should consider. In terms of where we're going to take this from here, the Democratic Labour Party is inviting all Barbadians to participate in a march and a protest, because we have to show this government that we Barbadians, and this is not about the Democratic Labour Party, we Barbadians will not stand for this, because this is not encroaching on something particular or special to the party. This is encroaching on something particular and special to Barbadians. We have to show that we're united, and as I said, the Prime Minister has crossed a line, and if it takes a protest to re-establish the line, she needs to understand that. And that signal has to be sent clear. With a majority of 30-0, I get the feeling that the Prime Minister is operating in a very monarchical style, and furthermore seems to be in a bunker surrounded by plenty of yes men and women, and that may be so, but the rest of the country needs to reassert itself, and reassert itself for democracy. All are invited to this peaceful protest, which will happen at the weekend. Further details will be forthcoming as we plan and we execute from the General Secretary and the organs of the party.
You said further details to come as it relates to that march. However, the Prime Minister has offered an explanation. She has said that basically the whole idea is an amalgamation of the 2 days, so that both the essence and the entirety of the journey can be encapsulated in that one day under a new brand and a new name. Her sentiments on, I think, expressed in the media as well as on Instagram. How do you view those remarks?
Yeah, I thought the explanation was weak. I thought the explanation was puerile, and I thought the explanation was dishonest. The reality is, if you said we are not changing the name, and then you come essentially trying to gaslight the people of Barbados, as if we had imagined that you had not said that you were not going to change the name, and then you come with this very weak explanation that we're trying to commemorate the presidency of the Sandra. So you're trying to drag the office, the independent office of the presidency, into this to protect yourself. I could not think of something more cowardly. I could not think of something more dishonest. And I will say this straight and direct, and I hope the Prime Minister is watching. Not only are you dishonest, you are a coward. Because if you were bold enough, you would have made the announcement. You would not have gotten a plane, gone on a holiday, and put one of the most incompetent ministers who prevailed over dysfunction at the Water Authority, the GIS, and we can list to continue, to make such an announcement, shadowed by an unelected senator that no one voted for to deal with a matter so important. Again, it is an act of cowardice, it is an act of dishonesty, and it is one that the people of Barbados should not let stand. You know, I find it really, really almost slightly laughable if this were not so serious. For someone who mounts the world stage and will lecture world leaders on honesty and democracy and standing up for the people, for something so important, you decided to forego the opportunity to talk and tell the Barbadian people, and you got on a plane and you decided that you were going to take a holiday. And you were going to fly off and jet off to wherever you are at this moment. And then you even have the decency to reach back and have commentary with the Barbadian people, but you're going to post a post on Instagram or wherever you posted it on social media in the most informal and the most kind of ways. I do not know what is a further act of cowardice, and I think that, you know, perhaps the shield has finally fallen from around the Prime Minister, and we actually get to see the type of personality, the real Prime Minister that manages his country, and we recognize perhaps she has been pretending all along. Because if the Prime Minister cared about Barbados, this would not be the way to treat a people that you claim that you love and that you respect and that you want the best for. And I think what is worse about this is then you will have a lecture about how we should do this in unity, and it's all about Barbados, and let us put aside our differences, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, you know what, ma'am? You're the one who created disunity. You're the one who stoked the fires of differences here. And you know what? If that's the case, well then, if it's up to the Democratic Labour Party and up to the people of Barbados, we will put those fires out, and we will stand up to bring this country together. Because we recognize, as I said, independence is not B, D, C, and DP. Independence is for Barbadians. It's always been about Barbados. And the importance of this festival and this moment in history, because that's what it is. It's an encapsulation of who we are really as a people. Not that glib statement that is thrown around by this ammunition about who we are. But when I'm talking about deeply who we are as Barbadians, we recognize that independence is pivotal to us. We all have those memories of independence, drawing the flags, preparing the songs, doing the costumes at school. This is something that we cannot simply set aside for a Republic Day, and most disheartening, a republic that actually is not a republic at the moment, because we're a republic on paper, but still existing with the same independence constitution that we've always had.
I have two final questions. I guess one at a time. In the spirit of being solution-oriented, you have two hallmark moments, two momentous moments in our journey towards sovereignty. You have independence in 1966, and you have what the culmination of that journey in 2021 with the going to the republic status. How do you see us then commemorating both days at this point, if you were the Prime Minister and the shoe was on your foot?
Yeah, if I were the Prime Minister and the shoe was on my foot, the reality is I would have kept Independence Day as Independence Day. You can create a separate Republic Day, or you just call it Independence Day. I mean, calling it Independence Day does not take away from the fact that you became a republic. And the reality is, and I think I made these arguments very strongly in the lead up to being a republic. You know, we've always been an independent republic state. You know, that last vestige of removing the Queen as a ceremonial head was just that. But the reality is, in my last check, the Governor General of Barbados in our recent times have always been a Barbadian. Yes, we know that the moment was important. Yes, we've celebrated the moment, but there's no need to replace one moment with another moment. The founding and the creation of Barbados, the Barbados that we claimed to know and love today, happened in 1966. You cannot recreate that moment. It doesn't matter how much you try, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. And essentially, trying to create a republic seems to have been a legacy exercise rather than a real exercise, because if it was a real exercise, what would have happened is what many of us, including myself and this party, suggested. We should have had the discussions on the type of republic that we wanted, all the constitutional change, and then we culminated in a republic. Instead, we have this backward process that we're now paying the price for. The government was warned not to do this. People came out, people were suspicious that they were going to do something like this. We were assured that it wasn't going to happen, and now it has happened. And you know what? We're not going to let this stand. There are many things that this government has done. We've talked about them, we've agitated, people have posted, we've written letters, we've complained, but you know, as I said, this is a line that has been crossed, and it is one that we cannot sit idly by and allow it to be crossed.
Okay. Final question from me. Now, obviously, I'm sure that you would have had your pulse and your finger on the pulse, the social pulse, over the last 24 hours since this announcement has been made. Do you get this sense that this issue transcends the political divide, and that you can definitely, on Saturday you said the march is going to be, you can definitely garner the support of not just those on the side of DLP, BLP, whatever thing. But in terms of neutral supporters, transcend and also transcend the political divide.
No, that's a fair question. And in terms of the day of the march, they said we will confirm the date, but likely at this weekend. So just stay tuned. We will confirm the exact date for the march and the protest. I think that is a fair question, and it does transcend. This is not a party issue. I've received literally hundreds of messages and phone calls, and there's no exaggeration in that. My phone has been blowing up since last night. People across the divide, members of my party, members of the other side, neutral people stopping me. People are upset about this, and they want to show that. And as one of the oldest political parties in Barbados and in the Caribbean, we have a responsibility, we have a duty of care to this country, we have a duty of care to the people of Barbados to allow them to express freely their sentiment and their emotions for something, especially this particular issue, which we know is so important to the people of this country. So I do believe that we have the support of all Barbadians on this. This is not a party issue. And upwards to a few hours ago, I was in a supermarket, and a lady came up to me and said, I don't vote for the Democratic Labour Party, but you have to do something about this, because this is not a party issue. And she made it clear she was a supporter of the other side, but whatever that we were going to do, she was happy to support that, because we needed to send a message to the government about what they have done to the people of Barbados on this issue. Any other questions? I'd just like to also note one final issue, and we would probably expect some more clarity from the government. We do not believe, looking at the legal research from my team, that you can actually change the name of Independence Day by a cabinet decision. It is something that would have to go to Parliament. If you look at the Public Holidays Act of Barbados, Independence Day is noted as one of the listed holidays, and it says November the 30th, that is Independence Day. So there is a legal aspect to this. We don't obviously want the government to change this, but actually it looks as if the government's ability to simply rename Independence Day by a cabinet decision is not only wrong, it is also illegal. Because as far as I understand, I do not think that any act was passed in Parliament, and I'm sure if it was, we all would have picked up on some particular act that would have been passed. We know, for example, if the government wants to create a public holiday, they have to pass a law. And I think similarly would have to happen with this. They cannot simply rename this willy-nilly by a policy change. We know that this government seems to want to ignore rule of law and want to ignore law, but I would caution, let's use that word, I would caution them to look within the four corners of the law, because they may actually be required to carry an act of Parliament to make this legal. Because right now, there seems to be also a cloud of illegality as well as a cloud of wrongness hanging over this particular decision by the Prime Minister. And let us be clear, I think that we have to stop trying to separate the Prime Minister from her government. This is a decision of the Prime Minister of Barbados. The government of Barbados is under the leadership of the Prime Minister of Barbados. When the government takes a decision, it is a decision of the Prime Minister of Barbados. There has to be real responsibility and ownership for what you do. I take responsibility and ownership for the Democratic Labour Party as its leader. I do not pass that on to anyone. When something happens, good, bad, right, wrong, indifferent, I have to step up and I have to own it. We are simply an opposition party as government, therefore that responsibility must be triple-fold, because you have a responsibility, a wider responsibility to the people of Barbados. As I said, the way in which the Prime Minister handled this was not only an act of cowardice, it was wrong, and we will not allow this to stand. And in the strongest of terms, I condemn her behavior, I condemn the behavior of her government, and I condemn the behavior of her ministers who have sat as accomplices to this, because I do not understand how you could have sat in a cabinet and allowed this to happen. It is disappointing that they all did this, and they all are to take responsibility for this. The first step would be an apology to the people of Barbados. Secondly, a reversal of this horrible policy, and let Independence Day remain as Independence Day. Independence Day shall not be changed, and it shall not be changed under the watch of this party. And if the Prime Minister is gearing up for a fight, let me tell you straight up, we will give her a fight, because this is not happening under my watch as leader of this party. And I assure the people of Barbados that we will do all within our power to ensure that this name change does not happen. And if the Prime Minister persists in doing so, we as a party will not be participating in any events surrounding these activities, because it is wrong, and we will not allow a writing of history in front of our faces. I want to thank you, media, for coming out. I want to thank the people of Barbados for tuning in, and we look forward to welcoming you to our activities and our peaceful protests and march over the weekend, or likely, and we will be sending further dates and information. So please stay tuned. Feel free to call party headquarters or drop by. We have a wonderful and a welcoming staff and team who will be able to guide you through the process and provide you with any information you want. Again, I want to thank you, and I want to say, although it's not Independence, happy Independence Day, my people of Barbados. One love and blessings.